Even Magnus Carlsen isn't immune to blundering. But what he does after the blunder is what makes him special. In this game, he loses a whole piece, but still finds a way to make a comeback. So let's look at this game of his. Magnus Carlsen has white pieces and his opponent is Grandmaster Gavin Jones. So this position has occurred from Sicilian Dragon, one of the most favorite lines of Gavin Jones. And in this case, Magnus plays the move knight e4. So he's centralizing the knight. In some cases, the knight can go to c5. In the other, knight can go to g5, keeping the pressure on both through the king side and the queen side. Now, those who play the dragon, including Gavin Jones, they are fearless players. So, and Gavin Jones, even if he's playing against Magnus Carlsen, he's like, no, I'm going to play principal chess. I'll play f5. I'll kick this centralized knight. Magnus Carlsen plays the move knight g5. He's like, all right, I'll try to capture this bishop and get the double bishop advantage and maybe increase the pressure through this diagonal. Now, in this position, Gavin Jones surprises Carlsen with this move, bishop c8. At first, it seems like a passive move that, wait, the bishop just went back. Can't Magnus do something on this? But surprisingly, there is not much Carlsen can do. So there is this idea of h4, h6, kicking the knight, and bringing the bishop back. The position would remain complicated. And in this position, by the way, please remember that this game is not an online game. It's a classical game played in Tata Steel YKNZ 2018. So it's a surprise. The next move that Magnus makes, that is g4. So he's like, all right, let's try to put the pressure on the king side and then he will do something. But this is a huge blunder. Can you find a simple way to punish Carlsen for this? Yes, there is the move f4. He just simply missed f4. In this position, this is under attack and this is under attack. And then maybe sometimes what might happen is that when such a blunder happens, players would have calculated some line and then they might have missed something within that line. But once the game ended and when Carlsen's interview was taken, he actually admitted that he simply missed this move. So that's just, yeah. That's just bad. So now, what happens with most of us when we make such a blunder? We lose our mental balance. We're like, oh no, what is this? I blundered a piece, I'll lose the game. Not Magnus Carlsen. He's like, I will try my best. I know my position is bad. I know I'm just losing if black plays well, but I'm going to make my opponent's life as difficult as possible. So the win is not easy. So Magnus plays the move h4. He's like, okay, you can take my bishop, but I want to keep this knight. And then in this position, f takes e3 gets played. Magnus plays queen takes e3. By the way, he has not blundered the queen. This bishop is winning that. So enough blunders in the game by Carlsen. So h6 was played. Now, once again, it's really important that when you are down in material, then you need to play active chess. You cannot just be like, okay, my opponent is attacking the knight. I'll just put it on e4 and then try to do something. No, if you put it on e4, then the bishop will get to e6. If knight c5, the bishop can get to f7 and it's black's just up a piece. And by the way, after knight e4, bishop e6, why do we need to move the queen as well? Because this is the threat. So there is no way Carlsen is just going to allow Jones to complete the development. So he plays the more active move. He plays the move queen c5. He's like, you take my knight, but I'll take this. This is under pressure and this is under pressure. Of course. Gavin Jones, strong grandmaster. He's like, no, I'm not going to take the knight. I'll play bishop b7. I don't have any rush. I'm going to develop my bishop. I'm going to defend this pawn and then I'll figure out what to do. So now Magnus plays the move knight e4. So he's centralizing the knight. Then Gavin Jones plays the move rook e6. So he's like, all right, I'm stopping knight d6 ideas. So far, so good. Then Magnus plays the move h5. So it seems a bit of a strange move that, wait, why is Magnus allowing his opponent to play g5 and then try to close the position? So Magnus's idea was that if g5 is played, so because these 3 pawns and this bishop, they are on dark squares, so the light squares would get weak, and maybe he would be able to get the knight on the outpost square, or maybe do something like this. Although the chances of something happening is extremely less, but still he has to try something. So black should have played this, and then yeah, he would have excellent winning chances. But Gavin Jones went for another move. So when we are up in material and when our king is under pressure, then we should try to exchange the queens. And in this position, Gavin Jones went for this move. He's like, all right, I'll improve my queen's position. I'll offer the exchange of queens and improve my queen's position. If the queen goes to a3 or something, that's just too passive. I've improved the queen, and that's good for me. And if the queens are exchanged, of course, I'm up a piece, so that will be great. So that's correct. That when we are up in material, when our king is under pressure, then we should look for the exchange of queens. But it's also really important to make sure that we are not giving unnecessary activity to the opponent, because sometimes activity can happen even without the queens. And Magnus recognizes that, and he seizes the opportunity, and he plays the move g5. Now he's increasing the pressure on the king side. There is no g5. If h takes e5, then there will be h6 type of ideas. Knight takes g5 can happen. By the way, queen exchange in this position is not working because queen takes e5, knight takes e5. Now black is losing because rook e7, knight b7, rook b7, and rook takes d5. Because if this, then this, one of the rooks will go. And then it will be Magnus who will be up in material. So after g5, in this position, something like bishop f8 should have been played, and the game goes on. So Magnus gets some activity on the king side, but Jones is still up a piece, and Magnus doesn't have as much activity, and still black is preferable. But in this position, once the pressure is put, then even strong players can falter. And in this position, Gavin Jones played the move h takes g5. Not that great move in this position, because what has happened is this h file will soon open, because these pawns are going to get exchanged, and this file will open. There are even chances of this and this file opening, and that will increase the pressure. And now Magnus is like, I think I've weakened my opponent's king side enough, so I want to keep the queens. So that's why it goes queen a3. So if he makes sure to play g5 to weaken the king side, then he avoids the exchange of queens. Then rook b8 gets played in this position. Now Magnus plays a great move actually in this position. That is C. Opponent's king is weak, but if we are not able to bring the pieces to attack that, then we won't be able to. So there is not that much point of just having the weak king of the opponent. And Magnus recognizes that the strongest piece, the key piece for the attack, is of course the queen. And he wants to include that queen in the attack. And that's why he plays the move b3. So his plan is that if Jones doesn't do much, then there will be queen c1. The queen can go there. And this is... Now the pressure is actually increasing on black. So Jones is like, all right, I'll put my queen on d8. I'll try to defend this and then do something. But what Magnus plays next is, something that makes him a very difficult player to face. And yeah, that makes him one of the greatest of all time. That is, he recognizes that, wait. So I can still continue with queen c1, but queen is not on b6. So now I can start putting pressure through the queen side. See, this is the versatility, because most of us, we would be like, oh yeah, I played b3 to bring my queen to c1. I'll do that. That's not bad. But he can take the a7 pawn. He did not take it in this position just to win the pawn. No, that's not the goal. The goal is that he wants to shift the queen to the king side by now going through g1. So that queen is keeping the pressure on the queen side and having an option to go to the king side if required. Then in this position, g takes h5 was played, rook takes h5, rook g6. Then now it is Magnus who is doing better. Magnus went for the move, rook takes g5. So rook takes e5, knight takes e5. Of course, by the way, there is no knight c3 check or something. The knight is pinned. So in this position, Gavin Jones played the move queen c8. Magnus brings the rook on the king side for the attack. Then in this position, by the way, there is a threat knight e6, because if queen e6 then there will be this. So rook a8 was played. Magnus is not worried. Queen b6 is played in this position. And now there are ideas of bishop d5, c d5, knight e6 and this. So now Kevin Jones is like, alright, your bishop is just too active. You take my rook and I'll take your queen. So no. As I said earlier, enough blunders for the game by Magnus Carlsen. So he just brings the queen to c5. He's like, no, I'm not going to give up my queen. Then, in this position, Gavin Jones plays the move queen d7. Now, Magnus centralizes the knight with the idea of knight f6. Knight also can't take it, bishop also can't take it. What a threat. Then Gavin Jones played the move king h8. And finally, the queen gets on the king side, queen f2. So that queen h4 or queen h2 can happen, and then there will be knight f6. And then queen e7 in this position, and then bishop takes a6 gets played. Now it's time to get some material. Queen h2 was played. Queen h6, keeping up the pressure. Queen a7, queen e6 check, rook g5, rook f5 is a threat, knight e3, queen d6 check, king f7, knight c5. In this position, queen e6 can happen, or knight e6 can happen, or even rook g7, queen e5, queen e3 can happen. So in this position, queen e6 check was stopped. So now Magnus went for rook takes g7. Then Gavin Jones resigned because there is king takes g7, queen e5. Once the king moves, then there is queen takes e3. Magnus ends up with 3 extra pawns. That's just game over. So he blundered a piece. Just he missed one move tactic to lose a piece right out of the opening. But how he makes the comeback by keeping up the pressure on Gavin Jones, activating the pieces, then attacking that king side, even allowing exchange of queens to attack that king side. And then, he makes a spectacular comeback and wins the game. Thanks everyone for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.